Hey, it's Jen, the Holistic Health Boss, your functional diagnostic health practitioner and expert, and I'm talking to you guys this week about Mysterious Mold Part 2, continuing the series from last week, and I'm coming to you from beautiful Vail, Colorado. So as we continue into this series, what I want to talk to you about this week is how to go about properly, getting rid of mold out of your living environment. Last week we talked a little bit about how to test for it in your body and in yourself. And having had firsthand experience with this, I want to share with you guys all of the information that I have found from my experience. Now, when I first, found mold in our guest room, which was my office at the time, I was immediately, overwhelmed with a fear or with a sensation of relief at first, because once I opened the closet door and I saw the mold, it totally made sense for everything that I had been experiencing. All of this stuff came into focus for me. Why I was having cystic acne, why I was gaining weight, the fatigue that I was experiencing, the long menstrual cycles. It all just made sense once I spotted that mold, because I had been going crazy and was just super frustrated going down this hole of trying to figure out what was going on with my body when I was doing everything apparently right. Like, I was eating really healthy and clean and anti-inflammatory. I was exercising the same or less and letting my body rest. I was getting good sleep. I was meditating, 30 minutes twice a day. So I was doing all of these things and taking care of my body better than I ever had before, but I was still experiencing some health issues. So the day that I saw that mold, it all became very, very clear to me. Now, along with that sense of relief, I was also overwhelmed with a sense of fear. The feeling of not feeling safe in your own home is extremely uncomfortable and scary. And when I saw that mold, there was a million questions that started running through my mind, such as, would we have to move out? Would we ever be able to live there again? Would my body get well? And all of these questions just started racing through my mind. Now, my knee-jerk reaction, as most people, when you see mold, is that you think that you want to remove it by cutting it out or treating it with bleach and doing some type of treatment. And amongst all of the information and research that I did, come to find out, mold is not only mysterious, but it's also mutagenic, and that means that it adapts really quickly. So things like treating it with bleach or other types of treatments actually aren't effective. So with mold or any type of fungus species, they can reproduce about as quickly as every 30 minutes. So that makes them extremely adaptable to situations, unlike humans per se, that we reproduce at much longer periods. So it takes much longer for us to adapt to our environment. So when you're treating mold with, let's say, by covering it with paint or trying to use bleach, it just mutates and it transforms and it continues to grow. So what I want to share with you today is how do you go about creating a safe environment in your home or your work and getting rid of mold completely if you know that it exists. Now, in some cases, with some people, if you're very severely sick, then the first thing you need to do is remove yourself from the environment in order to feel well, while you can work on maybe getting the things fixed at home or in your work. But here's a step-by-step breakdown of what most of us can do to get rid of mold in our home to create a safe environment for our health. So the first thing is to identify the source. You want to identify where the leak or the dampness is coming from and fix that right away, obviously, so that you don't continue to have a mold problem in the future. Now, the second thing that you want to do is proper remediation and removal. And proper remediation and removal includes having professionals come in, not necessarily doing it yourself. They should be sealing off the area with plastic, because mold actually becomes airborne in the form of mold spores, so we don't want it to travel more through the house. And they should be using some air cleaning machines while they're remediating, so that there's not mold spores that are getting spread everywhere else too. Now, because mold spores are airborne, it's also important to clean your air. So once you've done the remediation or removal process, and let me just note also that when you're remediating, they should be cutting out a 2-foot diameter around the area and removing all of the contaminated materials. So After you do the remediation, you also want to focus on cleaning your air. Again, that means maybe hiring professionals to come in and clean your air duct system for your heating and air in your home or maybe in the workplace. Also, what you can do to safeguard yourself is getting some HEPA air filters for your bedroom or your office space. You can get these off of Amazon. They're fairly inexpensive, anywhere from $25 up to maybe $100, depending on what you want to get. And I recommend, as Amy Myers also does, Dr. Amy Myers, is putting the HEPA air filter in your bedroom because that's where you spend a solid 8 hours a night sleeping. And then also putting any HEPA air filters in other rooms where you spend an extended period of time. So the air purifiers will constantly keep you safe and be cleaning the air always. Now, the fourth step that you want to take is actually to clean and wash materials. So those mold spores that I mentioned before that become airborne, they also can become embedded in porous materials such as your clothing, wood products, paper, as well as your furniture. So I really like, there's a website called CitraSafe. They have a bunch of products on there, everything from antifungal laundry detergents to sprays that you can put on your upholstery to even pet cleaning solutions as well, because actually your pets can bring mold into your home. So once you've done these 4 things, you've identified the source and fixed it, you've remediated and cut away properly the area and replaced the drywall and everything that's in there, you've cleaned your air systems, your air ducts, and put some HEPA filters in, and then also done a spray and wash of all of your clothes and your furniture and everything in the home, then what I recommend doing is doing a retest periodically using like an Imulytics at-home mold test or the ERMI or HurtsMe test that I mentioned in last week's blog to make sure that the mold spores are not coming back and reinfecting the house and that everything is clean and gone. So you might want to do these tests, once every 6 to 12 weeks until you feel secure and safe in your home again. Now, as I mentioned before, for some people that are more severely sick as relates to mold, sometimes the reality is maybe having to move out of your home, especially if you live in maybe an apartment building complex where you don't know the source of the mold, or it's just impossible to remove it in your home or your workplace. It might require your physical removal of your body out of those places. So I hope you guys found this helpful for how to go about properly removing mold in order to create a safe living environment again. Next week is going to be part 3 and the finale for this mold series, where I'm actually going to talk in more detail about how to go about supporting your body when you've been exposed to mold, how to get it out of your system and rebalance it and get healthy again. And if you guys are looking for more details on this, I highly recommend the book called Is It Mold by Karen Wright. She's a naturopathic doctor, nutritionist, and has had experience with mold herself. So you can click on the links below from the blog or back in the email to find out more about that book and grab it off of Amazon. All right, you guys, have a good week, and I'll see you next Thursday.